Cinderella story.
She comes out of nowhere, and it's like boom.
Hit after hit, nomination after nomination.
They got her under wraps. I can't get close to her.
I want to put her in every home on the planet.
What do you mean she's gonna change TV forever? Well, find out.
Are you at a loss for words, Josh?
3 successful movies in a row.
Why don't we have anything on her?
He knows she has a secret, and he'll stop at nothing to find out.
Who is Scarlet? I mean the real Scarlet.
Lots of intrigue, lots of rumors, lots of talk.
The evidence is staring you in the face.
Things aren't always what they seem. Scarlet, the hit new TV series.
And you're back on Morning Bell. I'm sure you're all truly entertained by that wonderful clip right now, just now. But of course, the person of the moment would be Natassia Malthe, who was the star of that show. Natassia, thank you for very much for being here on the show today.
Thank you. It's very nice to meet you.
Likewise as well. And by the way, that's a very stunning outfit you're wearing.
Thanks. Le Ann Maxima gave me this dress to wear for the show, so I'm really grateful for that. And Juju did my makeup today.
Wow,
so.
I can absolutely see why, because you look absolutely ravishing in that. And speaking of which, I understand that you're half Malaysian, which all of us Malaysian viewers out there can be very proud of.
Ah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm proud of being Malaysian, and it's a lovely culture, and I love this country. Especially when you're in traffic, everything is so clean.
Yes, everything is slow motion when you're stuck in traffic. Now, with regards to that, can you just tell us a bit about your childhood before you hit the world of entertainment and the limelight, obviously?
My childhood was quite complicated because my mother was Malaysian and she moved to Norway to be with my father, and they had met in Canada while they were both studying in Toronto, and so they fell in love there, and we moved to Norway. And Norway during that time was you know, a very young country when it came to having immigrants there and different races. So basically my mom was the first Malaysian practically to step on the turf of Norway, and people would stare at her like really, you know, yeah, they would be like, oh my gosh, she looks very different. And yeah, my mom was my mom was a rebel, and she married a Norwegian, and then this came about. But yeah, so basically, when I was in Norway, I loved my life there, and you know, as children, you have a lot of freedom.
That's right.
So it's a very liberal country. At about the age of 4, I moved to Canada, and there I started gymnastics and ballet, violin, and piano. And my mother being Asian, that's a very typical thing for an Asian mother to put her child through. So that's kind of how I started in the entertainment.
In fact, you were in the performing arts at a very young age. I think you from as young as 8 or even younger.
Yeah, I was in gymnastics until the age of 8, and then I switched to ballet.
Right.
And so I loved ballet. Like I was obsessed by it, and practiced 6 days a week for hours during the day, and so that's basically what I dedicated my life to until I was like 22.
Right. So was that the trigger point which actually got you hooked in terms of like, I would like to be in this industry, you know, I enjoy it, I thrive in it?
When I was dancing ballet, one of my biggest problems was, do I want to live in a studio for 10 years? And earning $2,000 a month, and with the same people for day in, day out? Or do I want to go on to another performing arts medium? And so I started tapping into musical theater and singing and dance, tap dancing, all those things. And I went to a holiday to visit my mom in Canada, and the guy who actually filmed Scarlet discovered me in Vancouver, you know, 10 years prior to Scarlet, when he hired me for Scarlet. And he put me on my first TV show called Millennium, and that's basically how I started acting.
Right, so from there one thing led to another until where you are here today.
Yeah, Yep.
Right.
One thing led to another. It's been a big, long journey.
I can imagine, I can imagine. Who was your, how do you say, inspiration or idol in terms of, in the entertainment industry perhaps, which inspired you?
When I was little, I would look at Natalie Portman in The Professional, and I would think, wow, I could do that, and she kind of looks like me, and you know, there's similarities there, and you know, my friends would be like, oh my God, that girl in The Professional, she reminds us of you. And so I started thinking, oh, I want to be like that. Oh, I want to be like that.
I can do that.
And then it was Winona Ryder as well.
Right.
She reminded me, she was very, I could relate to her.
Are you the rebellious sort? Because Winona Ryder is a bit like...
rebellious?
Yeah.
She's Generation X, I think. You know, I guess I don't really see her as being rebellious as much as being first of her kind.
Right, right.
Perhaps.
Maybe not conforming to what everyone does, just being herself, being real at the end of the day.
Yeah, wasn't she like a hippie child?
Yes, something along those lines.
Yeah, her godfather is Timothy Leary, who does acid all the time. He's known for acid trip.
Right,
yeah,
right.
maybe she had it for breakfast when she was like 5 years old.
Perhaps, perhaps. Now, you mentioned that your first role was in Millennium. What would be your breakout role? The one which actually took you into the eyes of everyone?
That would be Electra. They had been searching for a character for a really long time in Los Angeles, and there were a lot of, you know, Asians and half Asians really fighting for the part that were way bigger names than me. But they came to Vancouver, and I have 2 casting directors in Vancouver that I am so grateful towards, Corinne Mayers and Heike. And they really took me under their wing, and they have helped me throughout my career. They pitched me to the producers, and I came in with a big chopstick in a bun. And I think what won me the part was, like, I took out the chopstick and I used it as a sword.
Right.
And I changed my voice into this cynical Chinese woman. And so basically they just started laughing their heads off, and they're like, oh my God, no one's done that. and so yeah, that's when I got the part, and everybody in Hollywood were really shocked.
Yep.
And they were like,
what?
what?
Who is this? You know, where did she come from?
Well, they kind of knew who I was, but they didn't really know what I did, because I was just kind of there.
Right.
And when I got Electra, then everybody was, you know, quite happy for me.
Right. And from there, it led to other major movie roles. I think after that, not far after that, was DOA, was it?
Yeah, it was DOA and Skinwalkers, which I did the following years.
Right, right.
And I did a ton of screen tests, and you know, there's a lot of work that goes into getting a part. I mean, you just don't go for one audition, you go for 11 auditions sometimes.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, I mean, even in Malaysia, we see that sometimes it's really, really difficult, you know, in terms you have to go for casting after casting, audition after audition, and sometimes it's not easy, because to get that one role, you have to go for so many. But I would imagine in Hollywood, it's so much worse, given the fact that that is the mecca of entertainment, and everyone around the world converges on that. So how do you keep motivated, or how do you keep on going, given this such you know, adversity, so to speak?
Well, I'm a Capricorn.
I'm a Capricorn
too.
I'm a Capricorn.
Wow. Capricorns climb the mountain. They work really hard, and they are so persistent. Yeah, it's like, oh, I gotta get there, you know. So it has a lot to do with drive, and hunger, and you know, there wasn't an option for me not to work, because I didn't have anybody helping me out, or there was nothing, there was no cushion for me. So there was
no turning back, right?
No turning back. I made my choice. I didn't do what my parents wanted me to do. Right. Because they thought, acting? Are you insane?
You think it's going to pay the bills? Hello, can you get a real job?
And they would run around talking to each other. We have an insane daughter. She's doing acting. She's completely unrealistic. Ah. You know, they went hysterical. And I was like, nope, this is what I'm doing. Get used to it.
You're probably hoping that this is just a phase, you know, that okay, she'll outgrow it and then she'll come back into the real world, you know, get a proper job.
They're still hoping that I'm going to outgrow it. They still go, when are you going to get a real job? I'm like, what's a real job? Why don't you just be a waitress in a bar or whatever? And I'm like, no. Really? That's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah. Electra goes to waitress.
Right, I can make now one thing is like shows which you have done are quite action-packed, you know, which is the ones which requires, you would think, experience. But I understand that you don't come from a martial arts background or anything of that sort. So how did you cope with that?
Well, you know, I did martial arts with the Jackie Chan kind of stunt team.
Right.
They taught me for DOA, and we trained for like 5 months, about 4 to 5 hours a day. It was,
Right.
And they're Asian, right?
Right.
Do you know how the Chinese train their gymnasts?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's that kind. Okay.
Yep. It was to the point where I didn't go to the gym after DOA for like 3 years.
I don't think you have worked out more in that couple of months, which will last you for years to come.
So basically that's how I learned martial arts, and because I was a ballerina,
It helps.
yeah, it totally helped.
All right, fantastic. Natassia, we're going to take a break right now, because right after this, we're going to find out a bit more to the real woman behind the glam, and we're going to find out what she does in her free time and what she's passionate about. So stay tuned right after this break.